trust you're well. I certainly am. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am just enjoying being out here in this space today. And I have some tasks to do. But I have a change of plan. I think in my last video I said I was going to be sowing some seeds. And we all always need to be sowing some seeds, right? Because you know that the seeds will grow into amazing plants in the future. But there's a job that I've been putting off for a little while. I think I mentioned it briefly in one of my videos when I was talking about pruning back my apple trees. And I pointed to a big hedge over there somewhere. And I said, oh, I'll talk about that later. Well, I've been putting it off for such a long time that later has become now. And in fact, later has become now, as in now. I need to get some of my tall leylandi trees cut back. I planted them with purpose, so my intention was absolutely to have leylandi trees. If you're not familiar with them, they are evergreen trees and they can grow to quite an enormous height. But that was my intention. With the view of pruning them back regularly, and I've managed to do that for over 10 years just to make sure that it's the right size for the space it's occupying. So in terms of prioritizing, the sowing of the seeds will have to wait just another week or so. So for now I'm going to be cutting down the leylandi tree to a suitable height. And I just thought, you know what, I know it's going to take me much of the day to cut back, so why not come join me as I'm in the garden. What I will say is, well, beginning of March, there's so much, even week by week, that I noticed in the garden that's just growing and budding and popping through the soil. I really appreciate this time of year, the springtime, because I think for me it's real confirmation, you know, that despite the cold, the wet, the wind, the ice, the snow, and what appears to be the death of plants, you know, when they go into hibernation or lose their leaves, that with just the right conditions, life comes back. So I cannot sit here for too long. I need to get up with my secateurs somewhere, with my with my pruning saw, with my loppers, and I really need to get to work. So here goes. So as you can see here, we have many. Each of these is a trunk for a leylandi tree. I think there are about 15 in total, and they're spaced out about approximately 6 feet apart. But they are getting a little bit on the tall side, and so every few years we have to really prune it back quite hard. And today's the day. So here's the beginning, and that's my pathway that you often see me walking down to go and fetch my water. There's the water butt back there, and trimming down this leylandi, you can see that it's a big job. So here's the beginning, and that's my pathway that you often see me walking down to go and fetch my water. There's the water butt back there, and trimming down this leylandi, you can see that it's a big job. Trust me, that is quite a workout. And you know, being in the garden is more than just being in the garden, right? It's about being in the garden. So that was quite a workout, and I love it. I absolutely love it. It's just a natural way to keep up with your exercise, your fitness, your health. It's really win-win-win. Win-win-win. It's really win-win-win when you're in the garden. That's how I find it to be. So I still have more to carry from there to here. But what I'm going to do with all this stuff here is chop it down even smaller now and use it to mulch the garden. Mulching the garden means I can help to suppress some weeds, which is a great thing to do at this time of year. So that's what I cut them down to, maybe around, 12, 18 inches, 24 inches. Then I'm going to put this onto any exposed soil and around my trees and plants in the garden. Fantastic stuff. Here goes. So I'm going to continue just layering down the chopped branches from the leylandi, and you can just see I just put them around the plants I have. This one's a fruit bush, blackberries. So I'll go around the blackberries. Straight down here there's some sedum. I think it's sedum spectabil. Tiny. And again some sedum. They will dry out, of course, and then just break down and add nutrients back into the soil. Okay, so I still have a lot to do, a long way to go, but it's progress nonetheless, so I'm very pleased. Being in the garden, it's just a joy to be out here getting some fresh air, listening to nature. Well, look, on cue, the birds. Watching the bees buzz around me a little bit. They're still just wondering whether it's time for them to come out, which is so sweet. As the temperatures are rising, then they are beginning to come out of the hive a little bit more each week, and that's just such a joy to watch. Also, I'm having a bit of a break from all this chopping and cutting, which is great exercise. But as I just look around the garden, and you just so appreciate how much has come back to life after appearing to be dormant or being dormant during the winter months. So it's really lovely. I've seen some of my lavender, which I prune hard back in November, and they're just bringing out the new shoots, and that's really wonderful. I've observed the poppies that are growing, and if you remember back to one of my previous videos where I'm talking about saving the seeds and sowing the seeds, it's just wonderful to see that the poppies are coming through again. I have the peonies. They're beautiful flowers, and I would definitely recommend them for any garden, and definitely a great plant for people who may be new to gardening, because I find them to be so reliable. They come back year after year and need very, very little attention. So that just beginning to poke its head out through the soil, and that's just a joy to see. I've also seen some of my fruit trees. The cherries are beginning to swell, and the buds and the blossoms will be out, I'm sure, in no time at all. It's just wonderful. So just a little short tea break, and then I'll be back chopping the wood. The larger pieces I cut down and I add them here to dry, and then of course once dried they can be used in the summer for barbecues, in the winter for the wood burners. Mulching, as I always say, is really fantastic. It gives back to nature firstly. It's just the natural way to protect the soil, protect the earth's skin, the soil. It means that I will have to do less watering during the summer months as they approach, because the mulch will help to keep this. It's win-win when you mulch. Mulching means that I'll have to do less watering of the garden during the hotter seasons, because it helps to prevent evaporation from the soil, so that's fantastic. It also keeps the soil warm in chilly times, or when it gets chilly, because although we're in the beginning of March, there's still the threat of frost and even snow. That's not too unrealistic. So mulching will also allow me to suppress the weeds, which is fantastic. That's a great thing, you know. Love gardening, absolutely every aspect of gardening, but if there's anything you can do to keep the weeds at bay, and I don't use any chemicals or pesticides or any of that stuff, the thick layer of mulching is a really great idea to help suppress weeds. It also keeps the soil cool if it gets too hot as well, so for me it's win-win. Oh, I love the spider that's just come to say hello. Just going to put it somewhere. Thank you so much for watching today. I really appreciate you coming and joining me. I have been busy in the garden, as you have seen. I've enjoyed every moment of it. I'd just like to say thank you so much. Subscribe if you haven't already. And for those of you who have, I appreciate that you have. Perhaps share it with your friends. Turn on that notification button so you know when next I upload a video. I can't promise what I'm going to be doing in my next video, to be very honest. It might well be sowing those seeds at long last. So thanks so much for watching. Be in the garden, be in nature.